This site has since 2020, and I really wish I'd released that video. I probably will, because I made a video that I never posted about talking about the whole entire Venari nerfs. Not the bro moment one, but the actual like in depth and why I'm worried about when they're gonna do that workshop, how it's gonna be really bad. And I unfortunately was right. So the good news is that there's more ways to heal defense objectives. The bad news is that makes Korra almost irrelevant to a certain extent. Now, if you didn't know, they said that they're going to look at healing on defense objectives and as a whole because when they quote unquote fix Venari, they realize, oh well, it's a part of her thing, and I mean they did give a good reason why, because they said at the very beginning when Trinity existed, they didn't want someone just to press 4 and just heal the defense objective and not actually really defend it. So that made sense, and that's why it made sense for Warframes with healing abilities to not be able to heal objectives because it almost trivialized it. So now, for a majority of healing abilities like Blessing, Equinoxes, 4, if it does like a huge burst healing, it's gonna cap out at 500. Uh, let me make sure I got it right. It's either 500 health a second over 5 seconds or 500 health over 5 seconds. Let me make sure I can see that. Yeah, okay. So now it's 500 over 5 seconds. God. And you're saying, oh well, that's not bad. That's not bad. Well, you gotta look at this. Now Korra's kind of not really good. The only thing she was good for now is pilfering Strangledome, but Hydroid can also heal now too with Curative Undertow. But I guess that's two augments. But what the point is, what I'm trying to say is, in that video, I was afraid that they're gonna make everything fair, which took away the uniqueness of Venari. I think it was, honestly, I think the way it was fine the way it is, because again, other support frames have burst options, and Venari is more of a chip, just healing away at chip damage. Even if you maximize her for power strength, it wasn't anything. 150 health per second isn't anything crazy. Now Oberon's renewal it's gonna work as is. Like his renewal value is just gonna work on the defense objective as is. So whatever the hell your healing is going to be the same on the defense objective. Um, and in general, I wish I actually edited so I could link the little flow chart. But the usually if it does burst healing or a lot of healing, it just does it over 5. It's capped at 500 over 5 seconds. So you get 100 healing per second for 5 seconds. Um, Other warframes that can heal, but not as quite as effectively. There's the same like mending splinters for Gara, and then Korra, of course, and some other warframes like Harrow. No, Harrow's actually capped out at 50. So there's that. And again, now since everything's fair, Korra kind of just lost a lot of her value, so that kind of sucks. Although I'm glad that I can now play her again in Kuva Survivals. Like, I'm saying just overall for the health of the game, I don't know how I feel about that. And then also they've nerfed certain interactions. For instance, mending splinters or just Splinter Storm in general on Gara. If you could cast, because also if you didn't know, they adjusted how damage reduction works on defense objectives and how shields are actually the same. So any frame that can give shields, it's like a 1-to-1. Like Hildren's Haven thing works, but not her second thing. Volt's capacity augments work, so that's fine. But the main important thing is damage reduction here, because again, they made it more fair. So to make it more fair, they've nerfed certain things and they've standardized it across the board. So any ability that could give the damage reduction to a defense target is now just capped at 50. So for instance, if you didn't know, Mending Splinters, Gara's second ability, or sorry, Splinter Storm, you could actually apply to defensive targets and give them 90% damage reduction. Now that's lowered to 50. In the case of Trinity and the defense target in the story that moves around, when you bless them, he got the full 72% damage reduction. Now that's 50. So I mean, there's more. I don't know how I feel about this change. Honestly, all I wanted to do was for them just to revert core. I didn't want them to go upset the power balance. Now, there's something I haven't mentioned, and for a good reason. And this is the reason why I wish I released that video. Because I said, for instance, rip mending dash, and I'm 100. Now, here's the thing. They said defense objectives. I don't know if they count lures as defense objectives. Because if you didn't know, they also standardized Vazarin Dash, so now it no longer heals It heals 500 over 5 seconds, so 100 health per second. And if you know, and if you fight Eidolons, you know that is terrible because let's go look at Vazarin. The reason why Vazarin Mending Dash is good, at least for lures, is this right here. Allies hit by Void Dash are granted immunity from damage for 5 seconds and heal for 60% over 5 seconds. So, what does that tell you? Basically, what it says. Well, okay, first they're removing the immunity on Dash for objectives, which is, I mean, that makes sense. But in Eidolon, like, here's the core issue I have. If Eidolons count, like, I'm fine with all these changes because again, I use different frames for defense. I don't necessarily use it, and I think it's nice. Although it kind of sucks that core kind of loses their value, at least when it comes to static defense objectives and mobile defense. Because again, in normal defense, like the sortie defense, you can use any healer frame and it heal the target, so that's whatever. But anyways, why I'm so focused on Vazarin Dash is that if they count lures as defense objectives or mobile defense objectives, then this is a huge nerf for Vazarin Protective Dash. Because one, they can no longer be immune, and two, 100 health per second is nothing compared to 60% of their total health over 5 seconds. So again, let's say you have a thousand health, right? 1,000 health, and we have the new change. So you have 500 health over 5 seconds. So you get 100 health per second. So after the end of 5 seconds, you're at 500 health. So you're at half your health. That's not bad. But remember, with Vazarin, since it's percentage based, it's better at scaling. So let's take the same situation just for math's sake, and say, okay, 60% of what did I say 1,000? So what? That's like 600. So you get 600 health over 5 seconds. Compare that to the 500. So off the bat, it's straight up better. And this is when we're using small numbers. Lures have a ton of health because they know Eidolon fights are fucking insane. Have you seen Eidolon fights? They shit out damage constantly. Now, I know you can use Trinity X, Y, and Z, but I'm a solo player, so that's why I use Protective Dash. Um, so anyways, now let's use it. Let's just double it right now. Let's say we have 2,000, right? So you have 500 health over 5 seconds. So at the end of so let's say you out of 2,000, you'll only have 500 health at the end of it. But with Protective Dash, you're gonna have over 1,000. So again, scaling wise, it has been significantly nerfed, which sucks. Now it's still great that it does scaling on your Warframe, so frames like Inaros benefit a lot from Vazarin. And even frames that don't have a lot of, as long as you have like 900 or something, you're good. Like just in general, Vazarin Dash is a very good ability if you don't care about generic. But again, this change, I'm telling you, the crux of my issue is that if this change affects Eidolon lures, then Protective Dash is essentially dead because Eidolons can shit out more than enough damage to make that 500 health per second just disappear in an instant. It is that quick. And that is what my biggest fear was in that video, and I wish I released it earlier because it happened. I really they are reverting the Quora change though, so that's nice. And again, another issue is I had that they did not buff Cora's healing in any meaningful way. For instance, another issue I had is that if they're going to make everything fair, then you'd either have to significantly nerf Trinity and all the other healer frames, or somehow make Venari up to that level. So what they did is they just kind of nerfed everyone down, but even when they nerfed everyone down, it's still better. Because again, she does 50 health per second, and then Trinity does 100 health per second for 5 seconds. Now, granted, it's longer, but still, you can just press 4 constantly. And remember, Venari's an actual living thing that can die, and Trinity's the Warframe herself, so you can just press 4. Or Hera's a Warframe himself, so you can just use his ability. Like, Venari takes that extra management because it is a Kavat that will target people and can get targeted by enemies and die. So, it sucks. I really hope it doesn't affect lures, because that really... That would basically almost... I don't even know. I'd have to think of another way to hunt Eidolons. I'd have to go like super min-max or DPS just... Because, I mean, there are videos where people solo Eidolons with Volt and just go super hard min-max DPS and just break the... basically, if I kill the Eidolon, then it can't damage the lure type thing. So that could be a possibility I can look into. Although, it kind of sucks because I like the way... I kind of like my own pace, but that's fine. The changes overall... I think they're... I don't even know how I feel about it, because I never thought that they were necessary. I thought I thought it was fine the way it was, and I thought it made sense that certain healing abilities didn't work. And I understood why Korra was unique because her healing wasn't that strong. It wasn't like Oberon. It wasn't like Hera. It wasn't like Trinity. Um, and maybe this is me being a little bit of a Korra fanboy, but I feel like it took away a bit of her uniqueness now. Um, and in terms of like just defense meta, like I don't think she's gonna be even considered now because you can just bring Trinity, which can give you energy and do other things outside of just healing the defense objective. And I mean, Strangle Dome is a good ability. Don't get me wrong, and her CC is very good. But now it's like instead of like let's say we do the let's say we do Scarlet Spear right now. My team, my pick would be Wisp, Limbo, Korra, and then your fourth one would be Mirage because she does the most damage, right? That'd be the setup. But now you can just have Trinity, right? And that replaces essentially Korra. I mean, you can argue whether she replaces Wisp or not because Wisp gives you what you call it haste mode, which does fire rate. Also, I don't know if they're gonna change haste mode because they said 300, and I think 300 is the base health of. I don't know if they accounted for people who mod for power strength and if that's gonna affect their target, or there's gonna be a standard 300 and then like how many health per second. Like if they're gonna take the standard value of core and just apply that to the defense objective and make that unmoddable, who knows? Um, which, I mean, still is a buff in a way because Cora's modes do not affect defense targets. But what I'm getting at is, in that situation, those four Warframes, now you can just swap out Korra and not lose anything. Because what Korra did is that she kind of, like with Limbo, you already have your CC on lockdown. CC's already covered, right? Limbo's ultimate CC. So what all Korra did was add a little bit of loot and some healing. Now Trinity can just add energy and healing, right? So now no one has to worry about using energizing dash or energy pads. Um, you can use Harrow now, which I mean, honestly, Harrow's actually a really good pick in that team too, because his four. Remember, you can give additive crit chance, so there's that. So you can do Harrow now, which can give you uh, what do you call it? He can give himself fire rate, he can heal, and he can give crit chance, which is definitely a stronger modifier than loot. Again, I'm talking about if you want to go fast. I mean, again, if you want to farm for Shedu parts, then yeah, you can bring Korra, maybe even Hydroid now because he can heal. But I feel like Korra just kind of lost her spot because in general, when you're doing a defense mission, at least if you're excluding Scarlet Spear, you're especially now with the changes, you don't really necessarily need loot. And what Korra provided was healing and loot. Hydroid provided it too, but Korra CC is just straight up better, I think, in my opinion. And Venari can move around. As with Hydroid of Curative Undertow, I'm pretty sure people had to be near your puddle. So there's that. Um, so yeah, so she offered mobile healing and some whatever. But now when you have Harrow, Trinity, and everyone else that can affect it, they again in terms of what Korra can do, it's just not really much anymore compared to them. But am I mad? Not really, because again I'm a solo player, so I'm fine with I'm happy that Korra got her got fixed got her shit back, and I really hope that maybe they'll look at her other postures because they're not so good. Is that's another thing I was talking about in my videos that her other postures are essentially useless. Her defense posture. What the hell? Why would I have Venari target a single enemy to disarm them once when the frames like Loki and even Nyx with her old paths could do multiple at once? It just defense posture isn't useful. Attack posture, I don't notice a difference. I don't know if she's more aggressive. She looks the same. The only difference I notice is that she does that unique animation sometimes on a random enemy or on a marked enemy. I don't know if that and it does bonus damage to someone who's snared, I guess, but still, it's. For instance, what I propose is that maybe for defense, she gets innate damage reduction on Venari and herself, maybe, or maybe just Venari gets damage reduction, and then it's kind of like the healing posture where if she goes near someone, they get the damage reduction. Maybe cap it at 50 or something. It doesn't have to be 95. Just something to make the defensive posture more useful. Um, and then attack posture, maybe give Venari innate lifesteal. Make her have like the swipe augment intrinsic, and make her have like the sharpen claws augment intrinsic. Swipe makes you Kavatu more multi hits, and then sharpen claws, makes them rend armor, like remove armor. Maybe give that to her intrinsically or something. That's about it. Overall, I think the changes they were exactly how I thought they were. They're gonna make the playing field quote unquote fair while not actually buffing certain healing ability that were underwhelming to that level. Because again, as where it stands now, Venari's heal is very low now. It's probably the lowest because again, Inaros can heal off percentage base. I'm pretty sure. Harrow can heal up to 50, but again, he's not capped to per second. He's not capped at 50 health per second. If he kills like 20 people, that's 50 times 20, right? So there's that. But yeah, the silver lining is what I could say is as a solo player, it's nice that Venari can heal defense objectives. As a Eidolon, person that does Eidolon hunting, it all depends on whether Vazarin Dash is nerfed. If it's nerfed, dear Lord, trying to kill the Hydralisk is going to be a pain in my ass. I don't even know what if I can do it now because the Hydralisk just shits out pure damage. But anyways, thanks for watching. I kind of repeated myself a lot because I want to emphasize the changes. I probably won't post the other video now because it's already too late. I really should have, but oh well. Again, stay safe. Don't go outside if you don't have to, and yeah. Bye.